This is without doubt the Mozart of all buildings, Seagram. Fabulous resin, amazing materials, everything thought out, static, frozen, truly frozen music. Nothing can be changed. We ate in the restaurant today, and I don't think anything has changed. Anything has changed if Philip Johnson isn't there. But otherwise, it's basically as it was when I used to go there.
City and context is a very strong driver in all of the buildings that we've approached. It's our understanding of some of the existing conditions, the physical topography, the cultural and political aspirations of areas across the world that we need to have to work within. It's very important that we begin to attempt to understand that. And the responses will always be slightly different, but each time they can always be rooted either through harmony or contrast to their existing setting. This is called, I tend to say, public realm, which is we have a responsibility to those people that use buildings, but also to those people that don't use buildings, passers-by, people where these buildings have a profound impact on public realm. We're quite interested in a term legibility. What are buildings trying to say? There's a great deal of discussion about what is a statement that a building is making, but in many instances just the basic components of what makes a building work are spectacular. You know, they're things that constitute what we believe is a modern architectural language, which is really a celebration of all of the things that are required to make that building work and celebrating them in an appropriate way. And what we've shown here is a three-dimensional interpretation of maybe not doing a wedding cake, which are structurally quite difficult. You know, they're awkward, they're difficult to stabilise. And to create something which begins to exploit those middle thirds in the central section and be able to pick up some of the street wall and begin to define a boundary that Richard suggested that has other possibilities of how it might make that relationship to Park Avenue. And you can see this slight leaning. We're desperate to try and make it feel like one building that isn't sat on a funny suitcase, that it's something that you can feel that it's, well, it's like it looks the same because it's the same cladding, but it's not really the same spirit of what's above. As part of our presentation for two schemes, which you suggested, we felt there was one approach, but the retention of the 25% of the existing, which is as of right development, is really affected within this area and affects its relationship to the public space. So I'll take you through those in a moment, but it's defining that edge and then having a very, very simple, systematic, flexible floors above. Now these are the two options we're going through. We've got Scheme 1 and Scheme 2, but this first one is the retained scheme. So what this is demonstrating is the existing line of this building is set upon the existing line of the existing core. So you could remove the core and still leave what we call the net area, the rentable slab, in front of it. We still think some of the urban questions related to frontage, maintaining Park Avenue and building up a tall building of whatever height you can negotiate is possible. But what this suggests is the notion of creating this public space. So everyone's crossing on corners across Park Avenue, and the idea of crossing here and having this thing cut back so that what it's doing is opening its corners to all of the major points of how you actually cross Park Avenue. So these are about the garden spaces you were talking about. So these again are just our internal, we've built a 3D model of this basically. And so I think there's a kind of aspect of, it could begin to give something slightly different rather than just another terrace. And what we've suggested is that same, you know, it would be nice if you developed a theme, whether it's this or something else, something that runs through and informs what all of those roof levels are. I think one of the things that we've tried to do is to highlight some of the issues that perhaps you'll be facing, and also to deal with something which is simple and systematic to build.